Hi, I'm Chris, horror filmmaker and horror fanatic, here to go over scary movies and what makes them effective, both in a viewer sense and in a filmmaking sense. Today we're talking about my favorite horror film of all time, Hereditary. Released in 2018 with a budget of $10 million, it made $80 million at the box office, making it A24's highest grossing film. With a Rotten Tomatoes score of 89% and an audience score of 68%, this film has a little bit of controversy, it's a bit of a divide. Today, with no spoilers, I will be going over Hereditary in terms of how effective it is at scaring its audience. To help with this analysis, I will be separating the fear into 4 key categories, because everyone finds different things scary, right? Well, these key categories I think cover all the different ways that people can be scared from any kind of movie. This review will include my personal taste, but also a general overview of what horror buffs can find scary and what horror newbies can find scary. So without further ado, let's dive into Hereditary. After the matriarch of a troubled family passes away, her daughter, Annie, played by Toni Collette, and her husband, teenage son, and daughter begin to discover horrifying secrets about their ancestry and the malevolent force they might have just inherited. The first category to go over, thrills. This is the in-your-face scares, the jump scares, the screams of the chase scenes, all of the fun, loud thrills and chills of horror. Hereditary has some thrills in it, but not a whole lot. I would say that this film is more of a slow build. It definitely gets more and more exciting as it moves along, to the point where by the end it is actually just full-on terror, screaming. But it's definitely not focused on it. It is more focused on slowly building the tension. So it uses its thrills sparingly, but when it does, it is extremely effective. I think any average moviegoer will find a moment in this film that they will actually scream. And the way that those thrills are done aren't done in a very cheap, jump scary way like a lot of other modern horror movies. It's done very tastefully and effective and doesn't just rely on overabundance of music and bang, loud noises. You definitely won't be able to tell when they're coming. I think this film is very unpredictable and fun in that way. Next category, grossness. This is the disgusting stuff, the things that your mom wants to look away because she can't stomach it. The blood, the gore, the liquids, the ugly stuff. Hereditary also has some gross stuff in it. Not a whole lot, but again, just like the thrills, when it arrives, it is done very effectively. There's stuff about corpses and dead animals and mutilation and rotting flesh. Definitely some blood and gore. Not a lot, but when it shows up, I definitely wouldn't say this film is a gross film that'll make you, puke or whatever, but it will definitely make your stomach churn a couple times. Next up, shock value. This is the disturbing content, the triggering topics that are covered in the film and how much of it is shown. This film has a lot of shock value. It is legitimately disturbing and goes over really heavy topics such as grief, trauma, PTSD, suicide, abuse, and general mental illness. There's a lot of heavy topics that are gone over in this film. There is one scene in particular that terrifies any audience member that goes to watch it. I'm not going to say when it happens in the film, but it changes the course of the entire story and really leaves you accepting, oh, this film's going to go places, and it's going to show it. This film definitely shows most of what it's getting after. There's also naked bodies every now and then. There's some of that. It's definitely R-rated. I would say on the scale of, you're going to watch an R-rated horror movie, what are you expecting from it? This film is in the higher tier of, oh, this film will go far. It is not going to shy away from really dark topics. I would say for newer audience members that maybe enjoy horror but are looking for something a little more challenging, this film is very heavy and deals with very depressing topics in a very well done way, but also in a very realistic way. You will feel the pain that these characters go through, and it can be very depressing to watch. It is definitely a film that sticks with you afterwards and might just kind of leave you feeling a little numb and hollow. And the final category, which affects the way the other categories kind of work, atmosphere. This is how well the tension and fear is built up throughout the movie, the overall tone and feeling. Are there times where you feel safe and you're like, this is just a normal movie, and then suddenly it's scary? Or is it a film that leaves you with that dreading feeling throughout? Hereditary has possibly the scariest atmosphere of any horror movie I have ever seen. This is without a doubt the part that sticks with me the most. There is not a single second in this film you feel safe. Legitimately, it just feels like a dark, dreary movie the entire runtime. It definitely ebbs and flows at times, but pretty much for 2 hours, you are going to feel like you are in a living nightmare. It is an incredibly immersive experience that makes you feel like you are in the story with the characters, and when they are going through terrifying situations or feel like they're losing their mind, you'll kind of feel that way too. too. I would definitely say atmosphere is the highest category for Hereditary, absolutely the part of the film that will scare its viewers the most and has the highest capacity to scare them. So overall, as you can see from the categories, this film is really big on the atmosphere and shock value with some moderate amounts of thrills and grossness. I think what partially led some audience members to finding this movie kind of boring or dull is that they were looking for more of a typical horror experience like The Conjuring or Insidious. They didn't expect to watch a movie that would actually just deeply depress them and horrify them and not, you know, just a fun thrill ride. Oh, there's a scary monster. No, this film's messed up. That being said, a horror buff like me, I have seen some movies that are more messed up. There are definitely films out there that push the shock value to the ridiculous limits. Sometimes it becomes exploitative. In my opinion, this film has a healthy amount of it without feeling exploitative. I think this film is really powerful story that at times kind of feels like a family drama. I mean, it's still dark, depressing the whole time and scary for sure, but at times it does just feel like a family drama just dealing with loss and the grief that comes with losing a family member. And because it's horror, you're hoping it goes into darker, further, directions, and this film does that. Not in a fun, haha, we're all gonna go to the movie theaters and have a fun scare, more in a, man, I should not have brought my friend because now how are we supposed to have fun after this? And even aside from the fear-based stuff, this film is excellently crafted. It's the feature film debut of Ari Aster, who made a really messed up short film during college, and with a modestly low budget, this film accomplished a lot. The acting is a big reason that this film works. I think the acting can sell the fear of any kind of movie, and this film is done in such a realistic, hyper immersive way that you just feel it with these characters. You are feeling the pain and you really hope that they can make it out. But for a solitary experience, if you're looking for a horror film that is guaranteed to mess you up and scare you and stick with you, I cannot recommend a better horror film than Hereditary. That being said, if you're a horror newbie, I wouldn't recommend Hereditary. If you want to bring your mom to go watch this, I wouldn't bring my mom to watch Hereditary. It's just not going to be a fun time. And there you have it. That is how scary Hereditary is. If you'd like to check out the film, I've included links in the description where you can rent it yourself. If you'd like more horror breakdowns, comment below a film that you want me to break down. What makes it scary, whether you've seen it or whether you haven't. And share this video to your friends that are maybe curious about that movie Hereditary and are hoping it's not boring, because trust me, it is not. And that is it for this video. Thank you for watching.